Today I'm going to walk you through how to configure your Azure Blob storage to be used as both a destination as well as a source so that you may replay your data from your data lake. My name is Justin. I am a staff sales engineer here at Cribl. All right, let's dive in. All right, the first thing you're going to need to do is to be logged into your Azure portal. And if you haven't already, you will need a resource group that you can reference as you start to develop and create your storage account. Now, if you are creating your resource group, you will click on the Create, select the subscription that you would like for your account to be in, and then give your resource group a name. Now, I already have one available that I will reference. And the very next step that you need to do is go to your storage accounts. So if you have storage accounts here at the top, you can click it here, or you can simply search for storage and then click on the storage accounts here. Now we want to create a storage account that we can then later create a container in. So we're going to click Create to create the storage account. And you'll see a very similar UI where you need to first select your subscription. And then now select the resource group that we referenced earlier, and I have mine here. After that, we need to give this a name, and then select the region that we'd like for the storage account to be in. I'm going to leverage US East. After this, we can select the primary service. I'm going to select Azure Blob Storage. And then finally, you can choose the amount of redundancy you would like. For me, I'm going to use locally redundant storage. Here at the bottom, we can click Review and Create. And what this will do is build for us a list of the configurations, and we can agree that these are correct and click Create. And now that the deployment is finished, we can click on Go to Resource. And we can see that our storage account has been created. The final step that we need to do in Azure is to copy our connection string. And that can be found under Security and Networking and Access Keys. From here, you will see that we have a few keys already available, and those are assigned to our storage account. And we will want to copy from the connection string that we found here. Once that's copied to our clipboard, we can now configure our destination inside Cribl Stream. So I have a few worker groups here on the top, and I'm going to choose the Azure worker group. And this could be referenced by any worker group. And I'm going to go to Data and Destinations. From here, I will select Blob Storage, and I will add a destination. For the name, this is a name referenced only inside of Cribl Stream. I will name it as Blob Dest for Blob Destination. You can give it a name or a description. We do need to create a container name. And this acts very much like a folder in the storage account. That connection string that we copied earlier, we'll need to reference here in connection string. So we will paste it here. And then the final thing we want to do is, or final two things we need to do is one, click on this tab that will allow Cribl to create a container that we already named here inside of the storage account. And then finally, we need to add a prefix. You can give this any name that you would like. For me, I'm just going to call this test. After that, we click Save, and these changes will then now be committed for us to deploy. So we'll click on the Commit and Deploy, and what Cribl will do is analyze the changes that we wish to package up and deploy into our environment, and we can view those changes after they've been loaded here. Now we can write in a commit message here that describes the changes that we made, or we can ask Copilot to review the changes here and then create a commit message that represents the changes we wish to push into production. After a moment of analyzing the changes that we're about ready to deploy, it will pre-populate a message that references what we're changing in the environment. After that, we can click Commit and Deploy. Now these changes are being pushed into our production workers, and we can open up the workers here just to make sure that they have the latest version of the configuration. If we'd like to, we can refresh this to see if those changes are finally propagated to the different workers. Here we have 2. There could be many workers in this worker group. We'll go back to our data and destinations, and looking at that blob destination we configured, we can open up the destination, and now we will see a few tabs across the top, including the status of this destination, charts if we have data streaming. We can actually look at live data that's being moved to this environment. Of course, there are none at this moment. We can also troubleshoot any problems that we might see with the destination by looking at the logs. Finally, we have the ability to test or set up notifications. Notifications are very useful if you'd like to have notifications for when a destination is no longer available, data is not streaming to that platform at the rate it was previously, and a whole host of other alert mechanisms. Now you're greeted with a window with a sample set of events. And you can certainly leverage the events that we have here, and what you'll have is event 1, 2, 3, and say 4. If you'd like, you can go ahead and use this and send this as a test, or you can reference one of the many other included sample files, for example, a Palo Alto traffic event. Now from here, all we need to do if we're happy with these events and we want to send them to our blob storage, we can simply click Run Test. And we can see that the data has been sent to Blob by seeing the confirmation down below. Now, while we have this destination configured and it's ready to receive data, we can use this configuration to build a new source so that we can replay the data that Cribl is streaming to this destination. For that, we'll go to Data, Sources, and select Azure Blob. In the top right, we'll click Add Collector, and we can give it a name. Replay Blob. You can give it a description, and then next you can manually fill out this configuration, or you can auto-populate from a destination that you've already configured. After this, we can click Save, and following the steps we did before, we can commit and deploy our changes. Again, I will ask Cribl Copilot to gather information about the changes we wish to push into production so that I can have a detailed commit message. Once I'm happy with this message, I can click Commit and Deploy, and then verify that the changes have been propagated to the workers. After a few seconds, these changes will be in our production environment, and we can simply refresh to confirm that they are listed here. Navigating back to our source, Data, Sources, and Replay Blob, you have a few options. Number 1, we can run a test collector so that we can see the data that's available in the object store. And then once we're happy with that, we can in fact schedule this to run on an interval that can pick up data over time on an interval that meets our needs. For now, we're going to just focus on testing our connection to the blob storage. For this, it's very helpful to consider the mode at which you'd like to replay your data. Leveraging the preview lets us just get a sense of the data that Cribl Stream has access to. We can complete a discovery, which will help us understand the structure of the file system the data are in this environment. Or we can do a full run, which will collect the data and ship it to Cribl Stream to be processed by the pipelines and ultimately out to the destinations. For now, we're going to use the preview mode, and we're going to set the filter to true. And what this does is it will not make any decisions or filtering on the data. It's true if any data exists, we want to return those results. We will, however, provide a little bit of sampling in that we will run for 60 seconds and we will capture up to 100 events. Whichever one of these conditions are met first, we'll stop the collection. So from here, we will click Run, and Cribl will explore the object store and pull back the data that's in this bucket. Of course, we can see here are those Palo Alto events, as well as a few others that are already in this object store. This has been a quick guide on how to build and configure your storage account in Microsoft Azure, as well as configuring your Blob storage source and destination inside of Cribl Stream. Thank you so much for watching.